Oh wow. All right.
Mhm.
Kind of can't. Shit's mad tight. Sorry. Oh wow, this is great. I can't believe this is happening. So hello. Let me try that again. All right. Yeah, I can't believe this is happening. Hello, everyone. If you're here, you know me. My name is Enrique, and this is Enrique's Entries, and this is the inaugural episode of our second season. I'm sitting here with a multi-talented artist, and correct me if I'm wrong, mixer, engineer, man of all talents, a jack of all trades, Mr. Jason Flame.
I'm blushing.
Thank
Thank you. That intro was amazing.
you, thank you. I try. You know, I try to make everyone feel like they're coming out, like being presented as like a movie star. You know.
Or I've definitely wanted to do more podcasts and stuff like this for a while. So thank you for having me, bro.
Yeah, of course. Like you and I, we go way back. For nobody who knows, which is probably most of the people listening to this, you and I go all the way back to high school.
We're
Yeah.
like sophomore year, maybe.
Yeah. No, we used to sit at the people lunch table. It was me, you. I won't say other people's names because they probably wouldn't appreciate just being aired out like that. Not that it was
Reggie.
anything, but okay, yeah, Reggie of all people, him, yeah, I don't have a problem with. I know he'll be chill about that. But yeah, we used to sit, chill, just chop it up, and we didn't really start like working together creatively up until after high school, like
Yeah.
2018, 2019. We tried to do some stuff with Lonely Universe. That unfortunately fell through, and then uh, we tried getting together one more time when I was on You're Gonna Hate This podcast. That also fell through. And the third time is a charm. Here we are. And I couldn't be happier.
Sometimes do it yourself, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%, if anything. Yeah, so where do we begin? How about when I talk to artists, I always like to ask them about their influences. I know it's like a pretty basic question, but I feel like if anything, people's musical interests, or rather their influences, are what help create the music they make. I like how you could feel like Lil Uzi, for example, makes trap, but he also listens to Paramore. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's the stuff like that, the versatility of it. I think really adds to the craft. So let me ask you, what are your interests? You know, let me rephrase that. Your influences. What's the music you grew up on that made you think, damn, this is what I want to do?
Well, when I first like started listening to music, like this is even before like the thought of ever crossed like of like making music. I was into like a lot of like alternative rock. Like I used to listen to like a lot of Linkin Park, 3 Days Grace, stuff like that.
Nice.
Because I would watch like these little short films, like these anime short films, like on YouTube, and like that'd be the music in the background. So like, I don't know, like I was a weird kid. I didn't really like get into like hip hop music until like a little bit later. When I did, I would say I was probably listening to like a lot of like Drake, Wayne. I was like big on like Lupe Fiasco at the time.
Nice.
Words. So I would say like now I probably draw like a lot of inspiration from like artists like Saba or like Isaiah Rashad, more so during playing. I think they make the type of music that like really just resonates with me. Back then I was more so just listening to like what I could, trying to like learn the ins and outs of the genre. I feel like I'm forgetting some people, but I would say yeah, Drake, Lupe, Isaiah, definitely probably like top 3, like in terms of like influence. I like a lot of Brent Faiyaz's music. I think he influences like a lot of my like singing and the way I stack vocals. I think Smino is really cool. Like the shit he does is crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, I think especially when you're talking about stacking vocals and also your singing. Before I respond to like your influences, I just want to say your singing has gotten a lot better. It's gotten so much better since you first started recording, and I feel like that's natural for any artist, you know, because it's like your voice is a muscle, so it's gonna get better the more you use it, and the maturation is really shows. So I really like that. But I feel you 100%. When I was younger, I was also very heavy into alt rock, and honestly, like emo rock too. Like when I was younger, I used to listen to a lot of Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, Linkin Park as well. I had this. My dad found an iPod Touch on the floor in Owl's Head Park. Excuse me, and it was like a gift from the heavens for me because I didn't have an iPod and I didn't really have a way to like listen to music because we just weren't well off like that. And when he found that, it had like 800 songs in there of so many different genres. There was like Nirvana. There was, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought my phone was on silent.
You're good.
Sorry about that. Where was I? Yeah, no, it had like 800 songs from all these different genres, and I feel like it really just introduced me to the music taste that I have now. And I think that our generation is really unique because we have the internet. And because we have the internet, we're not just confined to like one overarching genre. Like,
very true. As opposed to like back then, you kind of just listened to like whatever your parents played in the house or was around you. I actually 100%. Find it really interesting that like you found that iPod and like who knows what music could have been on that, but like you were just like drawn to like the songs on that iPod for whatever reason. I think that's actually really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Because my dad, when I was growing up, like it's like you're saying, it's all your parents listen to. Like I have vivid memories of being 4, playing checkers with my dad, and him blasting like DMX in the house, you know, and like Wu-Tang. That's the kind of shit I was listening to. But hearing stuff like Nirvana for the first time, Aerosmith, and who else? I heard Prince for the first time on there too. It just blew my mind because I had no clue any of these people existed.
Word.
Oh man, yeah. The first time I heard "Beat It" by Michael Jackson was also like on that iPod.
That's really crazy.
Yeah, man. It was a wild introduction to music. Sorry. Give me 1 second. My laptop is not charged as I thought it was.
Word. That's why I did it on my phone. I figured it'd just be a little bit easier.
Yeah, no, for sure. I wish I had recording software and editing software on my phone.
I know. You got all the other shit. You got to actually record this. I'm just here on the camera.
Yeah, for real. You're just here looking pretty.
I ain't brushed my hair this morning, so that boosted my ego a little bit.
You're welcome. You know, that's what I'm here for, man. Just doling out the positive vibes, making everyone feel good about themselves.
Word.
What's it called? But yeah, no. I see that too when you talk about all these different people, all these different artists who influence you. Like I feel like when artists or creatives name their influences, then you start to see, oh, okay, I see why you do this. Like how you're talking about with you said it was Brent Faiyaz, right? With how he layers his vocals. Yeah, I feel like he's really an outlier out there too. I feel like not very many people would think about layering vocals the way that he does, and it just makes the song. It makes it feel a lot more full.
Word, I agree, 100%. I think there's just something about like singing in different octaves and like trying to harmonize with yourself that I just like, I really like. And like this new project that like I'm working on right now, that there's a lot more of that, I could say, as opposed to like on Phoenix, I was just kind of like dabbling in that. Like I could say a lot of the music that you and like everybody else hasn't heard yet, there's like a lot more of that going on. Like a lot more me being comfortable with like just like singing. And like there's even songs where like I'm not rapping on them. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I was listening to some of your old projects this morning actually as I was cleaning around the house, and I was listening to it wasn't Luke, but it was from Neo Soul. Which one was it? Honestly, I'm just gonna pull it up right now because I feel like your storytelling ability is one of the things that I feel like probably doesn't like. I don't know if you hear about that a lot. People tell you about your storytelling ability. But yours, the way that you were just bearing your soul on the track, talking about this little kid and him being accustomed to what he's used to, cheating on his
me.
What?
Don't Need Me. I think that's the song.
Don't Need Me. That was the name of the track. Oh my god. Yeah. No, I really just had to pause and take a sec because it was one of those moments where the music like really just hit you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. But no, I'm sorry. Go
ahead. When I approach like the songwriting process, I try to be very general, but like very specific at the same time. So like, I don't know if you noticed, but like in a lot of my songs, like I try to like name drop like people that I know.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you might not know Enrique, but like you might know someone that like in your life that's like just like that person. So it's like, I feel like adding like little personal touches like that really helps people connect with the music more because it makes me feel more like a real person.
Oh yeah, 100%. I am. I do things like that when I write too because I like feeling grounded. You know. I like when I'm just trying to figure out the right way to word it. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. I really appreciate when it feels like what I'm reading is authentic, or rather, what I'm listening to is authentic.
Word.
And I like that you do that. You know, you put the name drops, you put the people in there, and it's also like just a way of like shouting out your homies. I think that's really dope.
Yeah, that's it.
And so when we were talking about your musical direction, why don't we do that? Because and you've told me a few times, like off camera too, about how this new music is different, and I'm really interested in that because I appreciate when artists mature and they step outside of the comfort zone or do something entirely different from what they had before. Like, I think a good example of that is Tyler the Creator.
Yeah, he's super dope.
Oh, amazing! And the fact that he's coming out with a new album, can't wait. I'm gonna bump it so hard, all day, every day. Because
Did you hear the new?
Oh hell yeah! It came out while I was at work actually, so I had my AirPod in and I was just listening to it, and it kind of felt like his throwaway tracks that he would put on. I think it was before Igor came out,
or like on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It had that kind of vibe. So I mean, like if it's on the album, I still think it will be really cool. But if it's not on the album and we get like just completely new music and stuff we haven't heard before, that'd be awesome too.
Heard.
But what I was saying is, yeah, no, the maturation and seeing artists evolve. Like, why don't you speak to
that? Well, we could talk about Tyler specifically.
Okay.
He's definitely an artist. I feel like the way he inspires me, even like beyond musically, is kind of just like he's always like trying to find new ways to like reinvent himself, which I think is like super dope because it's like you never know what a new Tyler album is gonna sound like, and I kind of want to just be like that artist. Like I want to like, I want to still make stuff like that satisfies my fans, but at the end of the day, I know I'm making this music for myself, and I'm kind of just putting it out to the world, and like whatever happens, happens. So like, I like love the fact that like when I do make new projects, like I try to like be completely different, like and go in a whole different direction. Like with this project, like it was like completely different. Usually I have like the cover art and the name for the project like right away. This project, I like bought a microphone, like I was working a job, and like I was mixing all this stuff myself, like for the very first time. Nice. So what ended up happening is that I ended up just making like a bunch of songs with like no direction. And like I didn't really get a direction for like the project name or the artwork until actually like very recently.
Oh wow.
But like what's cool to see is like the project still sounds like very cohesive. So I can say it's like a very good representation of where I was like at the time and like my headspace when I was making this music.
Nice. That's really cool. I am, excuse me, like just from my own personal experience, I think that when you have to step in or rather step up and you start to do every little inch of whatever your passion may be yourself, like for you, it's the mixing, the engineering, producing, recording, and just making sure everything is fine-tuned. It really gives you a new appreciation for the craft in general, I feel like. And for me especially, it was really invigorating. Right. And Tyler is, I'm glad that that's an example we're using because I'm probably like the most familiar. I think that's an example I use all the time when talking about how artists evolve because you're right. No two Tyler albums sound the same. Like you can't listen to Cherry Bomb and then listen to Flower Boy, or even, okay, let's go even further back. You can't take Igor and then compare it to Bastard.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's like, you wouldn't even think it's the same artist.
Like totally, completely different headspaces. Even the way like he speaks about certain things, it just seems like he's a lot more grown up and mature, like in his process, like the way he makes music. I feel like early on with like Odd Future, it was just like a bunch of kids trying to figure out how to like navigate being edgy and famous.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like he looks like he's a lot more comfortable in his own skin. He's just making the music he really wants to make. Like I feel like he makes a lot of like pretty sounding music now.
Oh, 100%.
A lot of chords and stuff like that. Before, I feel like he was trying to make more of like a statement, like just like I'm here, this is me. It's more so like he's just trying to make the best sounding music, I feel like now.
Yeah, before his a lot of his early stuff, especially with Odd Future and all them, and I feel like really probably changed. I don't know. I would probably say Wolf. I think is when a lot of that started to change. Like the music was equally rough and pretty at the same time. Oh, excuse me. With tracks like 48, it's got. I'm sorry.
You're good, bro.
That was my cat. Everything is fine. There's no mess. Nothing is broken. That's what's important. Yeah, no, like on 48 especially, I feel like it's got the perfect balance of rough, like with I feel like it's got a very boom bap beat, but then you've also got the chords and a really soft melody too. All while he's talking about like the eyes of, well, I'm sorry, he's speaking through this perspective of being a crack dealer. That's fucking crazy. Who thinks of us making a song like that feel so musical in a way, you know?
It's also a perspective we don't usually get to hear. Like there's also like, just to be specific, there's like a whole stigma like behind like crackheads. Mm-hmm. But like for Tyler to take that and like humanize it and be like, yo, like I'm still a person too, it's like very cool. Like I feel like a lot of music doesn't do that. Like speaking from perspectives that we don't really get to hear from. It's like hearing the other side of the story almost.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think ultimately music like that is probably the most important kind, because it's what paves the way for other kinds of music like that to be more widely accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like if we didn't have artists like Tyler doing all the shock value stuff he was before,
mm-hmm.
I don't think that. Well, okay, no, I think that's too big of a statement to make. I was gonna say like, oh, maybe the whole landscape of music would have been different. And I guess like to a degree, you could say something like that, but I just feel like it was so important to music history, because he, as a product of the internet, basically showed so many other people you can get popping off the internet too, and you can travel the world, you can change your life like that. And now look at him, rapper, not even rapper, just all around musician, businessman, just a freaking legend.
Where he's got a soundtrack with the Grinch.
Yeah, for real. Like that's how you level up as an artist. You go from making beats on your computer and idolizing Pharrell to becoming your idols, you know, scoring a whole movie. That's insane. That's such a leap.
I definitely could say you definitely see that he's definitely a different person, but you still see like flashes of like, yeah, that's still Tyler. And I think I love that about him too. Cause like fame and money, like a lot of things change, but it seems like he kind of kept most of the same people around him, like throughout like the most of his career.
Yeah, I think that's really cool too. The fact that even though Odd Future may not necessarily be together anymore, the fact that a lot of the people from the collective still work together, still do things, like he and Taco. Taco was just in the promo for his new album, Call Me When You Get Lost. So, and I think he's in that show Dave too, right? Have you seen that show?
Yeah, bro, that show is funny as fuck.
Really? You know, I've heard a lot about it, but I just haven't gotten to it. You know, it was like
it reminds me kind of like, have you ever seen Atlanta?
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the same wavelength. It's kind of just like with some like Little Dicky and kind of humor to it.
Okay, all right, but I like the shows like that. The shows that give you like, even though it may be satirized, just like something of an insight to the music industry, because it's still like, even though it's satire, most of that shit is still like pretty true. Like that's just how it happens. It's just not as painted through a humorous lens.
No, I definitely. That shit is I want to say I seen that show like a couple months ago, but like I definitely loved it because it's like he's basically navigating through the show trying to like come up. So like it shows like his very like condescending and egotistical sides. It shows like him like burning bridges and relationships, trying to like get to where he wants, him like firing his manager because he's not doing what and then at the end of the show he kind of realizes like it's himself that's like causing a lot of these issues.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah,
that's very introspective, and I feel like since Little Dicky is, well, you know, also a rapper, I wonder how much of it is like semi-autobiographical too, you know?
Probably a lot of it. I think he was probably very like conscious of that when writing this show. It's not like, I wouldn't say it's spot on to like his actual true story, but it definitely like does mirror it in a way.
Yeah.
Because I think, I forgot what his story was, but I'm pretty sure he like, for one of his music videos, he was just going to like a rich neighborhood in Cali and he was just asking people, hey, can I shoot a video in your mansion?
Yeah, it was Save That Money. I think it was with Fetty Wap and there's one other person. I think it wasn't Rich the Kid. Was it Rich Homie Quan?
something like that. I don't know why in my head I feel like it was Future, but I know it wasn't Future.
Hold on, a Little Dicky and a Future track, like I don't know. I feel like that would be a pretty cool combination. Like
I feel like work with anybody. Young Thug
for real. Yeah, no, Young Thug and Future are so just like they're just especially versatile, and because Lil Dicky can fucking rap too. It's not like he's just a guy who makes jokes and also raps. Like he's got some fucking bars. Like Word. I remember what was it? The Double XL Freshman 2016 cipher? Yeah. No, he was in 2016, right?
I don't remember, but it was definitely one of those years. He definitely smoked to that freestyle. Like I know it's
100%. Like it was him, Designer, Anderson .Paak. I think it might have just been the three of them actually, because I know sometimes they'll do three, other times they'll do four. But he killed it. Like I don't think Anderson .Paak, he's a great musician, and especially now, like everything since then, his projects like Oxnard, Silk Sonic. If they're ever going to drop that album, I wouldn't be surprised. Man,
that song is beautiful.
Bruno already makes beautiful music, and Anderson does as well. So the fact that they were just like, yo, let's make a whole album together.
That's like a perfect collaboration. I've never thought. For real. You would think like, yeah, Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak would make great music together, but for whatever reason, it's just like I've never thought about that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because like, I feel like they're kind of similar in the way that, well, let me rephrase that. The music that they make in terms of like the arrangements and how they compose it, I feel like it's pretty similar. Mm-hmm. But the only thing that I feel like is different between the two of them are probably just their voices. I feel like subject matter is kind of similar most of the time, and their musical ability. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Very groovy. It's like very like grand music. Like it's like a lot going on. Like you can tell like they're in there with like real composers, like crafting these songs, as opposed to just like the way like a rapper would approach a song. I feel like Anderson .Paak is like a lot more than a rapper, which is like be able to work with like Bruno Mars like so well.
Yeah, it's like I love what they're doing too. How they're kind of just like revitalizing or reviving soul music almost. Because the track is very soul heavy. I was listening to this other podcast. What it's called, I don't even remember. It's not even me trying to like purposely not shout them out. I just don't remember what the fuck it was called. But it was like one of those music podcasts where they like dissect music to like a theoretic level as well. And they're talking about like time signatures, the different styles of music and like what makes them all different. And they went through soul history to find like the different like regional soul styles. And they basically found that Silk Sonic, at least in this song, Leave the Door Open, was like a huge homage to Philly soul, which is the kind of soul that would have like big orchestras, or like Soul Train is a really good example of a show that really had a lot of Philly soul on it.
Do you think they did that purposely, or do you think it was just kind of like their influences like on their sleeves, like it just naturally happened, kind of like that?
I think it's both, because there's definitely like little musical moments that sound like similarly enough that you could be like, oh, okay, yeah, they probably did this as like, as like a little interpolation. There we go. That's the word that I'm looking for. Okay. It's not sampling, it's interpolating. But like little stuff like that. And then, as versatile as music is, I feel like there's only 88 keys on a piano. You can only make but so many different structures without it not making sense. Because you can't just put, okay. Technically, yes, you can put any set of notes together. It doesn't mean it's going to sound good, though. Yeah, my point exactly. So, I think it was a little bit of both. But regardless of the fact, it's a great piece of music, and I'd be remiss to say otherwise.
I definitely think they'll probably drop that project sooner or later. I feel like it'd be like a shame for them not to, because like the way the fans reacted when they dropped that song, it was kind of like there was a heavy demand for that. So I feel like it's like, why not? Like get together, make that album, see what you guys can cook up.
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like it's the strength those two have, with Bruno already being like a huge like Billboard, or rather like just a charts dominator anytime he puts something out. And the way that song was received, they put an album out this summer. They could easily take over the whole summer and probably the rest of the fucking year. Because that song came out in what, like March?
Yeah.
And look where we are 3 months later, and I don't know if it's like exactly.
Literally, I was in the car yesterday, and they're like, I heard it on some mix, and they're like already like doing this and that to the song. So
yeah, for real. I went out yesterday too. I mean, it was like a bar dance club. So honestly, that's probably not the place to expect to hear that song. So that was just a shitty example. Never mind. I have heard it on the radio. I have heard it on the radio as well. Yeah, no, that song just has staying power, and I'm sure to a degree it's definitely like, you know, who your label is and how much money they're putting into you and your history as an artist, but you just make good fucking music, man.
I hope stuff like that would not get in the way of like this album, because that'd be like a shame.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I personally don't know too much about like the intricacies of like label contracts and how a contract with one place could prevent you from doing business with somebody else. I'm just not like really well versed in that, but I do know that that kind of stuff exists. Like I could just imagine comparing something like that to, like, for me, what's easy to compare to is like the Marvel universe. How Marvel like couldn't use certain characters because they didn't have the rights or this, that, and the third. So like they couldn't even say the word mutant in the MCU movies because Fox had the rights to X-Men and all that shit. Yeah, like
that's terrible. I didn't know that.
For real. Like not being able to say one word, and then like if you do mess up and say that one word, you get a whole fucking lawsuit.
Word.
Yeah, that's like insane.
On the word mutant.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they like people can do stuff like that is like crazy. I feel like, I don't know, we're in a weird space where it's like we're like very artistic like as a humanity, but like at the same time structure of like government and like capitalism holds us back from like true expression, because like there's rules to it, and I feel like there shouldn't be rules to expression like the way there is.
Oh no, 100%. I think that creativity unbound and just making something and it being in its most pure form, you not allowing yourself to hold anything back, I think it's absolutely beautiful. It may not always be the product that we want it to be, but if it's something that you can continue to build upon and refine, I think the possibilities are absolutely endless, be it music, a painting, or any piece of art, honestly, because the term itself is just so wide-ranging.
Or even podcasting too, like it's an art form in itself.
Yeah, I feel like podcasting especially is just so versatile. I think that if for somebody like me who really appreciates music but has never really seen themselves or like had the musical know-how to like go ahead and make music, I think that podcasting is a nice way to get into just the audio space in general, because people like to hear people talk. Conversations are, especially really invigorating conversations, are just nice to sit and listen to. And what's great is that you can have a podcast about anything because there's a niche community. Like, I know you watch anime, and I asked you about Jujutsu Kaisen earlier, but do you watch Attack on Titan or read Attack on Titan at all?
I've definitely seen it. I'm the type of person, I watch a bunch of anime, so I definitely start a bunch of shit and don't finish it.
Okay.
I'm definitely probably like most of the way through season 1 of Attack on Titan, and then I just kind of watching something else. But I definitely know it's a fire show.
Yeah, no, that shit is crazy. It's one of the best anime I've ever seen. The manga was really cool too. A lot of people didn't like the ending, but I mean, hey, everyone's a critic, you know. But I was asking because I listened to a podcast that reviewed the manga month by month as it would come out, and I just thought that being able to look up an Attack on Titan podcast on Spotify and there be like tens of, if not hundreds of results was crazy, because I would never even thought there was a fucking market for that kind of thing. But through the beauty of the internet and podcasting, that's something that you can tap into.
The internet is like, there's like a niche for everything. I feel like there's probably a niche for food rapping. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I feel like the internet allows you to like monetize like your very specific interests, like whether it be like music or just like anime or trading cards. Like there's a space for everything, because it allows people to be connected. And you might be the only person in your town that's like into something like that, but there's billions of people out there. So like there's definitely other people who are into the stuff you are. And then the internet also allows you to build upon that. So it's like you might discover a niche that you didn't even know you were into, really.
Mm-hmm.
My fault. This light is like automatic. It goes out like minutes.
Don't worry.
I don't know. I feel like the internet is like a beautiful thing, but like it's very chaotic at the same time. 100%. I don't know. I feel like it allows like a lot of opportunity, but at the same time, like a lot of people who, I wouldn't say who don't deserve to have voices, but I would say just like are not trying to spread like positivity, or like they're not worried about the betterment of all people. Like it also amplifies their voice. So I feel like there's definitely pros and cons to like the whole internet era, and like being able to just like at the click of your fingers, just like take whatever you want.
Oh yeah, 100%. Honestly, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that this I'm glad that we're getting this part of the conversation, because I've always been really opinionated about this shit, like this specifically. I feel like the internet, because it's essentially like, I think of it as the wild, wild west, you know? In the grand scheme of human history, it's like a fucking baby. It's like it just learned to walk, but it's also revolutionized everything we do, because shit, we couldn't even do this without the internet, you know? And it's beautiful because, like you're saying, you can connect with people all over the world with interests similar to your own. And for some people, that could be really beneficial, because just even if it's something just like food wrapping, you know, but like say you're really into food wrapping, but you're the only person in your town that is into food wrapping, there's like an air of loneliness to it. But with the internet, it can bring the people together that you would never even expect it to. But like you said, it does give people a platform that they don't always deserve. Like Logan Paul, for example. He's a prime example of somebody who just got famous off of ignorance mainly. And I think that's one of the dangers of the internet. But I feel like, unfortunately, there's no way to kind of like, I don't want to say like to police it, because you can't police the internet. I don't think it's possible. It's just too expansive. There's too many people who use it, and it would never work. Like, how are you gonna globally, how are you gonna maintain surveillance on an ever expanding network that ultimately doesn't physically exist as well? Yeah.
I feel like people like Logan Paul, who make like that kind of content, I feel like their time will come and they won't be around forever, because it's just like the type of stuff they do. It's not like lasting for themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not living, and I can't speak for him because I don't know him personally, but like, I feel like he's not living like a maintainable lifestyle. So like, yeah, he might be popping on the internet for like 5 years, but I feel like with anybody, like YouTubers, like you find out crazy shit about them years later. It's like their time comes, like people see what they're really about. Like, I feel like you can only fake it on the internet like so much. Like people can kind of see through that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, excuse me, sorry. What's it called? I think that, especially with the internet just being so unforgiving too, honestly. It's just like, it's a beautiful place and it's a cruel place at the same time. It's really just like, yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Bro, I saw it on Twitter, not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Like, somebody, I want to say they found like a dog, like, or two dogs, and they were like, the owner had a stroke, and like he was just trying to figure out like, yo, how can I help these dogs, because like they have infections in their ears, and like he was afraid that if he brought them to like the pound that they'd be put down.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody comment, it's like, yo, why are you coming on Twitter trying to figure that out? And I'm just like,
bruh,
like, why are you on here? Like, he's just trying to like solve the situation to the best he can using the internet, which is, like you said, a very expansive, and like you never know. And here this person is on here like not helping the situation at all, just inserting like their weird ass opinion like for no reason.
Yeah, for real. It's like, I think one of the downsides of the internet, or just like, yeah, social media and the internet, they're not necessarily one and the same, but you can't have like social media without having the internet. But I think that it really allows people to just like not be themselves, like to kind of dissociate. because I doubt that's the kind of shit you would say to somebody like in real life. You know, it allows you to just like be a not a okay. I don't remember the word that I'm looking for, the phrase, so I'm just not going to say it.
Mhm.
But I think that it just allows you to be like blindly cruel and feel like little to no repercussion because
Word.
you don't know the person, they don't know you, and as far as they're concerned, you're just a face on the screen. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. It's definitely like this person's a human being. Like at the end of the day, like you might not know them. I feel like there's a lot of people who hide behind like profile pictures that are not them, like just to say what they want. But I feel like I don't know. That's like being a coward, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I would have to agree with you because I'm someone who believes in like presenting one's authentic self, and that doesn't necessarily mean like sharing every single like moment, not every moment, but like every like inch or aspect of who I am. I don't think it's something that I need to share at once, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't be me. You know, like I like to
Word.
think that I'm a nice person. I get along with people, and I try to present myself as I am in real life in
Mm-hmm.
social media too. You know, I feel like that's something our generation is very aware of too. Because I remember when Instagram itself was first popping, like back when we were in high school, filters were the craze. And I feel like as we've gone on and grown older, a lot of people are more interested in like maybe not things that are grounded, but things that are definitely a little more authentic. You know,
Word.
you don't see as many filters anymore. I feel like there's an overwhelming consensus of. I mean, this is just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I
Mm.
feel like when I'm on the internet and I see a lot of stuff, like when it comes to like editing someone's photo or somebody
Mm.
editing their photo, like I feel like there's just an overwhelming consensus of just like, oh, why are you doing that nowadays? Whereas it always used to be, well, no, not always used to be, but there was a time when people were just like freely editing their photos. I don't care if you edit your photos or not because I understand that people can have very like not fragile like perceptions of themselves, but not everybody always likes the way they look.
Word.
And I 100% feel that. When I was younger, as a young fat kid growing up, I didn't like the way I looked. My uncle used to call me Butterball, and yeah, sure, it's a nice family name. But I would look at myself and I'm just like, damn, that's exactly what I look like. And I was really happy to like lose a lot of that weight growing up. But now that I've like kind of put some of it back on, there's some days where I look at myself and I'm just like, oh, okay, you look fine. But other days I feel like I'll just feel like, you could look better. And I'll catch myself when I'm doing that kind of stuff
Mm.
because I genuinely enjoy how I look. I think I'm okay. You know?
Mm.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to turn that into just like a me thing, but I just felt
No.
like it's easier for me to be vulnerable.
I can say we are we like the first generation to come up with like having the internet probably since like children.
I wouldn't say we're the first generation because there's probably people who are like, okay, there's millennials, which are like
Mm-hmm.
people from like 85 to I think like the mid 90s,
Mm-hmm.
which is like right before everyone from like 95 to 2006. I
Okay.
think, I don't know, I think that's the Gen Z era,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I feel like we're kind of in that space where we remember a lot of the stuff from the 90s that made its way into the early 2000s, but we also we remember a lot of the stuff from like the early to mid 2000s. Yeah. But
Yeah.
like MySpace was a thing in the early 2000s, and the internet has existed since like, to my knowledge, at least the 90s. But I
Mm.
think social media grew ever more present as the 2000s went on.
Where I think when we were in middle school
Mm-hmm.
was when like social media was like really like becoming like a foundation.
Yeah.
So to my point is like we were like our self-esteem was like heavily influenced and affected by like social media as opposed to like people who are a little bit older than us who were like living in a time like before like I wouldn't say the internet but like before everybody had access to the internet.
Yeah, for
So
real.
it's kind of like I get that because like that whole phase where like everybody was using like the Snapchat dog filter and everything, it's like it's because like this was like the very first time where you could like put yourself out to the entire world and everybody has something to say. So it's like I feel like a lot of people were very protective about how they look and they didn't want to do this or that because it's like before that it'd just be your town or your immediate family, your friends who like could say these things about you. But like it got to a space where it's like, all right, the entire world can see me here. So it's like a lot of people felt like they kind of like had to cover up.
Mm-hmm.
And like to the same thing, like I grew up like a chubby kid too. So like I had like my phases where like I had like the bald haircut and I was like super chubby with glasses. And I was very self-conscious about that. But I think I always knew that it was just the internet. So I was just like, I wouldn't say comfortable in my skin because like I know everybody struggles with that, but I think I was just like very good at that from a young age of just like knowing it's like, I was like, all right, I might not look the best, but it's like I know all these people with all these filters are doing the same exact thing, trying to cover up the same way I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta commend you for that because that's not something that a lot of kids, especially at a young age, can kind of like. That's not something that they can naturally come to. I feel like a lot of like back when we were like 12, 13, especially when like social media is like really taking off, it especially doesn't help that these marketing companies are advertising to us young kids, telling us this isn't what you're supposed to look like, this is what you're supposed to look like. And then on top of that, like just not seeing prominent people of color, just like in the mainstream in most industries, just being subjected to essentially just like a lot of like Eurocentric beauty standards and then Eurocentric idols or like just like famous white people.
Especially especially, I feel like even if you look at like the way like the average like attractive person is supposed to look like today as opposed to like 2009, like back then it was like a lot of like very thin like people like you said, very Eurocentric like features. I feel like now because of the internet, because like you can't police it, like people of color especially have like a voice to like speak up and be like, no, like this is beautiful too.
Yeah.
And then from there it kind of like shifted the culture a little bit, and it became like, all right, now people are following these trends and like they became like the thing to follow.
Yeah, that's really cool because I feel like that in itself just lends to the beauty of the internet, the fact that communities that have never really had a voice because they are now on the internet and an endless space now have that voice. It may not be the largest seat at the table, at the ever expanding table nonetheless, but I do think that just having an internet presence, especially nowadays, has become really important to almost anything that you want to do, be it organizing, be it a rapper, be it a writer. It feels almost impossible to do something and become successful without having to establish a social media presence. I think that's a crazy standard that's been set in a matter of like 10 years.
I would say like the last 5 to 10 years, definitely. Cause like I'm one who's like, I have like a lot of like artists that I work with and like just like a community of like artists I support. And I'm always just pushing for like, yeah, I know the social media shit is like a drag sometimes, but like if you really want to do this, like you have to have like a very strong presence like on these platforms, because like that's just the best way for people to discover you.
Yeah, 100%. Like I hate how draining it feels too. Like I'm incredibly guilty of it. I think I became much more aware of it after watching this documentary that I wrote about on my blog, The Social Dilemma. And it basically talks about how social media was just made to be addictive, to keep you on it for as long as possible. And then in doing that, they create these algorithms that will feed you content that may not necessarily even like be in your best interest, but a lot of people around you are clicking on it. Excuse me. It's viral, it's circulating, all that stuff. And because of it, you end up seeing things or thinking things that you would otherwise have probably never thought or saw in the first place. And the kind of effect that can have on a young person's psyche, and maybe not even somebody our age, somebody even younger, like my little brother who's 15, like I worry all the time about what the fuck he's watching on the internet. Because I know that when I was growing up on the internet, it was definitely like, it was an experience, to say the least. Being introduced to all these new things that I probably would not have heard of otherwise, be they good for me or bad for me. It's different. It's like a real shock.
Can we like talk about like TikTok culture for a second?
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
what you're saying is like the epitome of like that app. And like, I don't judge people like who have TikTok because like I get it, like it's very entertaining, but just that idea of like forced like content, like an algorithm saying what you're into and what you're not, as opposed to a social media platform where you can choose who you follow.
Yeah.
And like you can see that. I don't know. I could just never like. It just feels like mind numbing to me to just like scroll and be like, all right, well, you watch these videos, so here's these videos, but also here's this because this company paid us thousands of dollars to try to push it to more people and like stuff like that. I'm just much more for like, I like to follow like what I follow. Not saying I don't like to discover new things, but it's just like, I don't know, like you were saying, like being very impressionable with like the stuff you watch, like even to like an older age, like you don't notice it, but like subconsciously everything you watch like has a little bit of like a remark on you.
100%. Like, excuse me, I'm sorry. What's it called? Yeah, no, I would agree with that 100%. Everything that you watch can have an effect on you of any size. It could be small, it could be big. It could have been just as simple as just like, wow, even if it made you think. I think that at the end of the day, it did what it was supposed to do. And I think that as somebody who does have TikTok, I'll admit it, the way that the algorithm works on there is really very interesting, especially when you're aware of it. Like, I watch a lot of the stuff that comes up, it could just be like part of a trend that's going on. It could be, there's a fair amount of cat videos on there. I have no problem saying it. I enjoy a nice cat video every now and then. Listen, it's pretty fucking funny. Just, probably more so because I have cats, you know, and they're just like, damn, I didn't think I'd be doing this. Listen, man, I love my animals and I appreciate them. And
cats are
like, wow,
cats are dope.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I didn't always like cats either, so it was kind of like a revelation for me because I was never really allowed to have pets growing up because my dad was allergic to cats and dogs, and we had a rabbit, but it wasn't the same, you know. It was not at all. And then now being able to have a kitten, being able to have a cat, it's almost like having a kid, honestly. I don't think it's like anywhere near as annoying because a kid can't claw you or scratch you in the middle of the night, or like a kid can shit on your bed. A cat can do that too. Cat has done that. Yeah, no, that's there's stuff like that that definitely sucks about it. And then having to bring them to like the vet and such. So it really is a whole responsibility. But fuck, that was so off topic. I'm so sorry.
Nah, you're good, bro. I like cats because cats are like not like dogs. Yeah. Like dogs, I feel like need constant attention, and I'm someone who's like, I'm cool with a cat, even though I don't have one. I've had when I was younger, but I like cats because it's like a cat won't bother you unless it like wants like something from you or like it wants the attention. So it's like you have that time where it's like the cat is just kind of coexisting, doing its own thing, as to opposed to like a dog like needs constant attention. I feel like most of the time.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like living in an apartment, I feel like, and having a dog, I think of any kind, honestly, is almost a disservice to the dog because of the attention that they need. Having to walk them, needing a place to pee or shit, or just like having to play with them all the time. Like, I just don't think that I really have enough time in my life to do the things that I want to do, you know? And then having to take care of a dog as well. That's just too much. I don't think I could personally get a dog until I own a home. But that's my personal opinion. But yeah, I think cats are very good like people detectors too. Like really good. They're very good at like detecting a person's energy because they don't trust just anyone. You know, you gotta build that bond with them. And if a cat doesn't fuck with you, it's usually pretty indicative of some other things.
No, I feel that.
Yeah. I wanted to circle back to something earlier. I didn't get to mention it because we just kept going off on the topics, and I loved that. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed just having sporadic conversation, even when I didn't even mean to talk about it. When we were talking about Lil Dicky and Dave, his show, I wanted to ask, like, from creative to creative, do you like get inspiration from like movies or TV shows?
I'm the type of person. I have like a very, very, very short attention span. So like I can't really watch too many shows or movies like unless they like really entice me.
Okay.
Like I'm the type to like before I even see the movie, if I see it's 2.5 hours, I'm just like, oh god.
Damn.
But on the same note, a movie like Interstellar, which was like 3 fucking hours long, like had such like a huge impact, like on just like as a person. So it's really like case to case, I would say. I definitely do think I draw a lot of inspiration from anime, just from like that like the concept of like having to grow and like try to like be better every day. Like those parallels that like are drawn on a lot of animes, I feel like I represent a lot of my music.
Nice.
Movies definitely inspire me. I wouldn't say like so much like musically, but kind of more so just like how I think about things, my perspective, how I carry myself, I would say more so. And then from there, I would say it like translates into the music.
Okay. Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, because like I always enjoy having, especially this kind of conversation with other creatives, because I feel like learning about how other people draw inspiration can also just like help like somebody as an artist just try new things as a means of inspiration. But I think it's also really just cool to see how other people think, you know? Just like to pick their brains and see like how they get to point A, well, how they get from point A to point B, as opposed to how I get from point A to point B. Like, I think anime is something that I've definitely drawn a lot of inspiration from as well. Not necessarily like it may not always be the themes. Like I love My Hero Academia for the reason that it is so fucking uplifting. And I watched that show. The music is great, and I feel like anytime, especially like when All Might was on screen, like as All Might, not like his frail self, and he was kicking ass, and Deku was just like fawning over him. That kind of stuff right there just made me feel like I was a fucking badass. Like I could do anything I wanted to in the world. Especially when Deku is like having a really bad moment, and then he's just realizing that he has the power inside of him to do whatever he can. Like stuff like that. I love it. But when I listen to, oh wait, no, I didn't finish my point. The stuff I take from anime is more so like the storytelling techniques and stuff like subverting your expectations entirely. Like I think I keep using Attack on Titan because it's probably like the one anime manga that I've actually like fully read and then watched the most too. Because I don't really watch very many anime or like TV shows in general because I don't always have the time to. But the ones that I do watch, oh, I'm gonna watch the shit out of it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna read it and just enjoy like every part of it that I can. And I think that a lot of manga is really good at subverting expectations. It'll like show you one thing and then completely throw it out the window and be like, okay, you thought that this was the case, but actually it's not. Like with Attack on Titan, everybody thinking that it's just like, you know, just your other anime. Or let me rephrase that. More so how the situation is presented one way, like, oh, the Titans are, damn, I don't know, having a really hard time formulating my opinion, and this sucks.
What you're trying to say, like, come to the show thinking like, all right, these are just evil like beings here to just like do whatever. They're like, there's no, but then like when like the main character like becomes a Titan, like it changes the whole like way, and then you find out like the kind of okay, are the Titans created by like the humans, and it's just like a whole thing to it. Like it's just like it gets you really thinking about like why like the way they are.
I like it because in a lot of Western media, you know, like foreshadowing is a thing, but I feel like the way that it's done in like Japanese media, I feel like their iceberg, where you'll see part of it and then you won't see the other half. I think the way that they do it is really, really cool. It's just so different because I feel like the shock of that reveal, I feel like it has much greater weight, especially depending on how something like that could affect the rest of the story as well.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's built more like throughout a whole series. Like I'll give you an example. I haven't seen this anime personally, but everyone tells me I should watch it. One Piece. Everyone's like, there's like however many seasons. I know there's almost probably like 1,000 episodes, but they're saying stuff from like the recent episodes draws back all the way from like the first season.
That's
like
crazy.
to the day. And it's just like very mindful writing is like what I respect like from anime. Is like every single detail is important, like no matter what, like even if like it's off and like the writers make mistakes, people notice that for a reason, because anime is held to such a high standard like that. And it's like everything's got to make sense and draw into each other. I feel like with like American and like Western media, it's not so much like important or like dramatized. Like it's just kind of like, I'm here to watch this and have a good time for like however. So I feel like anime is real good at like, all right, well, he did this when he was like learning how to fight. Mm-hmm. And now that he's in this experience where he has to fight like the top person, it's like it pays off like for that reason.
Yes, 100%. I love that. It's so consistent. Mm-hmm. And like the things that that a character will learn, what they go through will actually affect them in the long run. Whereas I feel like in a lot of Western media, I feel like it's more so like in the visual presentations as opposed to like if you're reading a book or a novel, because a lot of the time when it's a visual presentation, there's, you know, things you got to keep in mind, like runtime or like how something looks on screen. When I'm just writing words on a page, I can do anything I fucking want to. But I feel like a lot of the times when things get introduced and either amount to nothing or aren't used the way that you think that they would be in Western media, it's kind of like disappointing.
Word.
Because I feel like there's times where writers will, whether they realize they're doing it or not, they'll just neglect all the work that they've done on a show or on a piece of media, and it'll kind of just like feel pointless or like be tarnished in a way as a result of that.
I could say maybe because most anime is manga first, maybe that's kind of like why it's that way. So like when they're writing these like shows in the very beginning, they're written out as like comic books. So like I guess writers are a lot more thoughtful about that, because it's like you got to get from the beginning to the end throughout the book, and it's like they can go back and like read the old pages and be like, oh, I get it now. So it's like when you do put it like in like the cartoon form, I guess it's like the blueprint is already drawn out, so it's like you have less room for failure, I think, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, especially because like there's the source material and stuff like that. I think that manga in general does a really good job of. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to press pause real quick because I'm getting.
Yeah, bro, you can pick it up if you want.
Yeah, I'm getting an important phone call. I'm sorry. Give me one moment. All right. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I get you.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Fuck. Where were we? I hate when stuff like that happens. So sorry.
Anime. We were talking about like the intentfulness of like writing.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Jogging memory. That was awesome. What I love about anime and manga in general is that it does a really good job of balancing a story with such a big cast. You know, I feel like the big casts are so integral, and every character always has a purpose. And I feel like more often than not, their stories come full circle, and they always serve as just like another tool in the tool belt for the story.
Yeah, it's not so much like main character and everybody else is around to just serve. Like that one character's like character development. It's kind of like everybody's like developing together, and it's like that's kind of how life really works. So like I respect 100%. That.
Yeah, I think anime's always been really good at, or manga. I mean, the both of them, because I mean one comes after the other. But I think that they've always been really, really good at doing that, because I can't think of any manga that's been centered on just like solely one person. Like you know how movies or TV shows can typically be centered on like one person, and everyone else is more so just like a passerby, if not like something of a recurring character. I can't think of very many pieces of manga, or any actually, that are built like that. I think it's like the storytelling in that medium is just richer because there's a larger cast, you know?
Word, I agree.
Okay, sorry. I definitely had a flow, and me getting the phone call kind of just like messed it up. So let's get back into the music conversation, because I had some points I thought I touched on, but I'm just not seeing that I actually didn't. I wanted to ask you, what's your vision for yourself as an artist? You know, just like what will be, because I know this is a tricky question, even for me when I think about it sometimes, about like for myself, but like what to you will, or defines your success as an artist, or is something that you want to accomplish that'll finally like show show yourself, yeah, I did it, you know? Like what's that proving thing to you?
Honestly, recently I've been kind of in the mindset that I'm like already already doing it. Like honestly, because what I want to get out of music is like I just want to be able to like in my truest like self express who I am and have people appreciate me for that. The numbers really draws more into like the kind of lifestyle I want to live. But like on a musical standpoint, I feel like I'm here to like give myself and like lead people who choose to follow. And it's kind of just like that. And I can't really do more than that. I kind of want to just like be that inspiration for that person who might not have that person in their household who can push them. Is like maybe I can be the voice that can push that person to just be like a little bit greater than they would have been had they not heard like what my music is. So I'm not really too worried about like Grammys or like winning all of like these like accomplishments. I more so just want to have like a very dedicated fan base who just kind of like sticks through it with me and just like trust my process, and I'll be able to cater to that fan base, and from there I feel like that fan base will grow just from like word of mouth.
Nice. No, that's really cool. I like that. I really got a lot of integrity from that, and I feel like a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people who do get into the music business, while it may start off as like a labor of passion, something that you want to do, I feel like a lot of times people just get caught up in everything else about it, you know? Like how, especially when a song can take off, like the fast lifestyle that somebody's living as a result of it, you know? I feel like a lot of the times that can envelop people, especially if just like it's the fame that they want, you know? And not just like yours, just wanting to be essentially just like a role model to somebody, you know, like wanting your music to mean something to somebody, to help them do something like I'm sure artists have done for you, like I know they've done for me, you know? And that's really noble. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I've definitely had a lot of conversations with like different artists, and you can definitely see like in terms of like which artist like just wants to like be famous, just to be famous, and like what artist is just doing this because they think there's money in it. And then there's like people who I truly believe like are in it because like it's just like a true form of expression to them, and they're just like genuinely just trying to like make music. And I feel like you can hear that almost like in the music too, like most of the time. Like you can tell who really wants to make music as opposed to like who's just doing it so they can live a certain type of lifestyle.
Yeah, for real. You can really like you can see who's really about it and who's not, especially in when oh excuse me. Just like just when shit hits the fan too, you know, like when the going gets tough or the real gets real. It really it shows the person's true colors and like whether or not they're really about the music for the music or they're about the music for the money. Because like me for example, like I do all of this writing and I don't exactly like I don't get profit from it or anything like that. I put everything up for free. And I do intend on publishing this novel when I'm done with it. But I'm also somebody who enjoys freedom of information. So I also plan on keeping it up there on the newsletter. It'll probably be like much more raw. I don't think everything is going to be word for word because I'll have edited it and such when I do put it out. But like for me, it's just it's because I love doing it. You know, I want my work to be out there. I want it to. I hope that it means something to somebody in the way that it means something to me when I write it, or the way that other books have been something to me when I read them. It's similar to you and how you just want. I want for my work to affect somebody like somebody else's work affected me.
Word. I feel like it's that part of it is not really appreciated the way it should be, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people are in this for the wrong reasons, especially with music. Like, if you're going to be in music for the money, I think that's kind of dumb because, like, a lot of very successful artists are not getting paid the way they should be. Exactly. So it's like you said, when the tough like gets going, it's like you're gonna really see who's like really about it because they want to do this, as opposed to someone who's like, I thought this would be a lot easier than it really is, and then they just like, well, I'm on to the next thing. Or it's like nowadays it's very cool to be like an artist or a rapper or whatever. Hold on.
You're good.
And I don't know, it's just like doing something because it's cool at the time. It's like you're gonna not only burn yourself out, but like you're gonna find yourself in a situation where it's like now you got to start all over because it's not even really what you wanted to do. You were just doing it for like outside factors as opposed to like what was on the inside.
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like a lot of people think that because like when a song takes off, it really like does take off. Something that one of the music teachers that we had in high school, Mr. Gigliotti, he told me that because he's a musician too. Well, he was a musician. He was a drummer. He was talking about how he was always in it because he just loved playing music, you know. And a common misconception that he found in his times on the road was that a lot of people were becoming musicians in the intent thinking that they were going to make bank. But especially nowadays too, artists are getting shafted more now than ever because a lot of people are going into the music industry not knowing just how predatory it can be.
I think there's money in the music industry. Okay. I just, the way you go about it, you got to be very strategic about how you go about it. So like the cool thing to do like in the 90s and the 2000s was like, hey, I'm going to find this A&R or this artist I look to and I'm going to rap for him or something like that. And I'm going to try to get a shot. I feel like because of like, especially the internet, it's less more about a shot and it's more so like about what you're building.
Yeah.
So it's my approach to this whole music thing is like building that fan base, whether it be 100 people or 1,000 people. If I can get those people to be returning like fans who like constantly support my merch and my music and like come out to the venues like when I'm doing shows, then it's like everything beyond that is kind of just like a blessing because it's like it's something that's gonna like reinvest into itself over time because I'm building like these personal relationships. Like I'll talk to like kids like from like Ukraine or like the UK.
Wow.
And like they're like sometimes they're like 13, 14, like 17-year-old kids. And then just be like, yo, I really look up to you. And I'm just like here, just like I'm like, wow, like that's really cool. Cause like you don't think somebody like overseas would like really connect with you like that, especially like someone who doesn't necessarily look like me, but it's like music transcends like beyond like race or age or any or gender or anything like that. It's kind of just like being your true and like most like truest to yourself. It's kind of like people can see that and like that's what they're looking for in music, and it's kind of like they can find that in you. I find like that to be like really cool.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that just goes back to the point of authenticity, like we were speaking about earlier. Like you really can tell when they're really in it and when their heart is in it too. Like when instead of them just faking it to make it, you know. I feel like that's always the defining factor in any like true artist or true master of their craft or anything of the sorts. Yeah, and music, I really like that you said that like music like essentially has no bounds because regardless of what kind of music it may be, the message of the music, or let me rephrase that, the subject matter of the music, lyrically speaking, I feel like everybody around the world likes music, no matter what it may be. It's just one of those things that is just so universal. Even if you don't like a kind of music, so many more out there that you can find yourself stumbling onto.
Word.
Yeah, and the internet's really just helps the internet's been a really big player in getting a lot of that out there.
It's going to be very interesting to see kind of like where the internet goes like within the next 5 to 10 like years. Because I feel like we're going to get to a point where it's like it's going to be integrated somehow like outside of like a computer or a phone. And I'm interested to see how that goes. So
yeah, I'm also interested in that as well, like just to see where technology is going to go in general, because I feel like for us, compared to all the different kinds of technology we were seeing growing up, like the VCR, for example, having to look for a tape in a cabinet somewhere to rewind it and put it back in. Now I can just grab my phone, tap on it twice, and then I'm watching anime. Like it's just fucking crazy. Yeah. And I personally can't see. Well, maybe I'm probably just not like thinking about it, but I can't see how much more advanced we can get than that. Like what's next, you know? Like I thought 4G was fast and 5G is 1,000 times faster. So like, what the fuck is 6G gonna be like?
Where I think it eventually gets to a point where it's like, I don't want to say like microchips, but I think there's gonna be certain types of ways where like virtual reality like becomes like a real like normal thing, like in terms of like a space. Like you'll be able to put on something and like really tap into like the internet. Like you'll almost be there like consciously.
Yeah,
I think
no, 100%.
especially with like when COVID happened and like seeing like all these artists do like virtual shows, it kind of like there's still a demand to go see your favorite artist in concert, but it's like it definitely created something else where it's kind of like, all right, well, if we can't be there, there's other ways to like get this type of content out.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's one of the things. That's one of the things that I really. Okay, let me approach that a little more gently. I think that as terrible as lockdown and the pandemic has been for the world as a whole, I think that for those of us who were lucky enough to be inside or stay mostly isolated or even just like allowed the time to lock down in general, because not everybody was lucky enough. Some people were essential workers. Some people still had to go to work and such. Some people didn't even get to make it out alive. I think that for those of us that were lucky enough and were able to take away our experiences in a positive light, it was really like a moment in time. It was nuts. I was able to do so much that I had never really had the opportunity to do before. I was able to improve my video editing skills. I read a lot of books I'd never read before. I watched some shows I'd never watched before. Played some games too, but it was like it's not like it was just like fruitless, just like to waste my fucking time. It felt like an experience and me being able to appreciate it a lot more as opposed to.
Is your cat?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the cat. It's okay. He's just knocking shit over. Where was I? Yeah, no, it's like really being able to enjoy it more and take that experience, that inspiration, and translate it into my own work, as opposed to working an 8-hour shift, coming home, having to cook, eat, be tired, and still like try to do something, or even try to play a video game, get burned out after 10 minutes, or try to write and not even get a fucking sentence down. A lot of that stuff didn't really exist then, or didn't really have the space to exist then, and I feel like being able to focus on everything a lot more, or rather as intently as I would have liked to, was really beneficial because it helped. It just helped me realize what I wanted to do a little more. Excuse me.
I think everything kind of like being taken away for like that moment of time definitely like created like a new appreciation for like your craft or like whoever craft. Because it was like we were in a moment where it's like we just weren't sure about anything. And it's like when shit hits the fan, like all like forms of expression, you would think like music or like podcasting or writing or anything, you would think they just get like thrown out the window because it's like we have more important shit to do. But instead, what I saw during a lot of COVID was like a lot of people like clinging to like their expression because it was just like it was a tough time for everybody.
Oh, 100%.
Everybody was just so unsure about everything. So it's like I had a similar situation. Like I feel like I'm the most like different and comfortable in my skin that I've ever been. And it's a lot of it has to do with like COVID and then the timing of everything. Cause like there's a lot of decisions I made for myself because it was like, all right, all this being taken away from me, I can see how much I want this more. So it's like all the little stuff I was doing before that was kind of like self-sabotaging or like holding myself back. It's like I really took accountability for like, all right, like if I really want to do this, like I can't keep holding myself back. Because it's like you in your head, like you put all these like blocks on yourself. And then like honestly, the first step to anything is kind of just like proving yourself wrong. Like before you prove anybody else wrong, it's like you have to stop telling yourself that you have a limit or this is as far as you can go, and you have to really like break down those like mental hurdles before you can like get it like into like what you're doing like fully.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that oh shit, I'm sorry, hold on, I'm getting a phone call from my dad. I gotta pick it up real quick. Okay, sorry about that. Yes, okay, I remember now. Yeah, I think that you're right. You have to prove it to yourself that you can do it, and just doing it, as much as whenever I say that, excuse me, I think of the Shia LaBeouf video. Listen, there is a point into that, just doing it is how you prove yourself right or wrong if you're doubting yourself. Proving to yourself that you can, in fact, do it. And practice will not always make perfect, but it will make permanent. So just taking that first step to better your work ethic, which I know for me sometimes can be a huge problem because it's hard trying to get a chapter out every week that's like 10 pages long.
Word.
Even if I have it like oh my god, you would have thought I was smoking. Holy shit. Whew.
You good?
Yeah, no, there's like nothing in there, but that did the job.
I was gonna say, did you have guitar class in high school?
Yes, I did. I had it. I had Mr. Zara.
He used to say that a lot. Practice makes permanent, not perfect.
Yeah, because what's his face? Mr. Oberly, the AP.
Yeah.
That was a saying that he made really popular with a lot of the kids too. So that's one of those like nuggets that I take with me everywhere I go because it's so universal. It doesn't have to be for music. It can apply to anything, any craft that you want to master. Practice. It won't make perfect, but it'll make permanent.
I think the difference between like a lot of people who want to do what they want to do and people who are actually doing it is just that they're just actually doing it. It's like that mindset of like, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but it's like, if I don't do anything about it, that's not going to get me there. So it's like just that idea of like, let me just do what I have to do and figure it out on the way. I think really like can make a huge difference like in anything.
Oh yeah, 100%. I also think that excuse me, like speaking things into existence is really important as well. Like it's kind of along the same vein of like not knowing how you're going to get there, but knowing that you will. Like just having that faith and that confidence in yourself, and just your ability to authentically be you and do what you love.
Word. Because it's like if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to.
100%. Nobody is going to. It's like as grim as it is, like you're born alone and you die alone. But at the end of the day, like it's always just you. And if you're gonna count on anybody, why not yourself?
Word. It's almost like it's an injustice to not like take that risk on yourself, because it's like you're willing to take risks on other people. It's like, why not take that risk on yourself? Like you should be able to trust in your own abilities and like capability before anybody else's, because like you only perceive things from yourself. So it's like if you can't even trust in yourself, it's like how can you really like trust anything?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that more often than not, those risks that you take on yourself are going to pay off, especially if you're dedicated to what you're doing and like it's something you're really passionate about.
Word.
I think that the passion is probably the most important thing for like honestly anything. No matter what your labor of love is, what your craft may be, if you don't have the passion for it, then what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. One last thing. I wanted to ask you about To the Face. We don't have to get too in depth on it, but I did want to ask how to somebody who's never listened to your music before, how would you describe this? Like how would you describe the song as a new era of Jason Flynn?
Okay. To the Face, and like I could even say like to an extent a majority of the music that's going to be on this project, it's me taking risks that I was too like afraid to take, like musically before, like how I mentioned before with the singing. Like I was like, I think because like growing up I was told like, oh, you shouldn't sing. I think that made me want to sing even more, like and like on some like reverse psychology shit.
Yeah.
So like I would get in the studio with like whoever it be, like at that time when like I was getting other people to engineer my stuff, and it'd always still be like, all right, like I don't want to like embarrass myself in front of this person.
Yeah.
With this approach, I got to make a lot of this music just like in my living room, like by myself, like one person there at the most. So it was like a lot of like me trying like a lot of like different shit with like my voice, and just kind of like not being afraid to like, all right, if I don't like it, it's okay, I can do it again. Like subject matter wise, I would say it's more of the same, but it's like more expansive. I would say I'm going into greater detail. I would say that I've gotten a lot better with my songwriting. I would say that I've gotten a lot better with writing like choruses and hooks. I think on Phoenix, I was like just getting into that. And I think with this album, like I'm really like, I got that down packed, like just in terms of like song structure and like being able to really craft like a good song. Like I think on this project, like each song, like all 12 songs are like individually good on their own. Nice. And they're all different, but they all like line up like the same subject matter. I could say that I don't think any two songs on the album sound the same.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I could say I definitely have a lot of like very introspective stuff. I also have like those touch of like aggressive rapping. I don't know. I just wanted to be more of like a complete package. Like I presented myself. Like I wanted to really like give like my all. Like I genuinely think this is the best I could have done with this project. Like no matter like the circumstance or whatever, I think this is me like out here. So it's like whatever happens when I put this music out, like I'm sure to do well. But I think like for the people who like truly like love my music, I think this is going to be like something very special for them, because it's like not me holding myself back anymore. I think it's just like me like really, really just like being who I am.
That's good. That's amazing. Damn, I love to hear that. I really do. Because like I was telling you before, I think that Slowly Forward, I got the name right? Yes.
Okay. That song will be on the project too.
Okay, good. Because I always confuse it with like this saying from Attack on Titan, which is like moving forward, like keep moving forward. So like whenever I think about the song, I'm always just like, did I get the name right? But no, Slowly Forward, I really do. It feels like a very different song from everything else that you've done, but that's a great thing. I think it's the most innovative song of yours that I've heard. With how you were layering the vocals, the features too. Everything just kind of feels like focused, and the beat was also something that I could just like. It was like you were saying with Tyler's music. It's a very pretty beat.
Yeah,
I liked it. It felt like the most complete I've heard one of your songs before.
Thank you.
And yeah, you're welcome. You deserve it, man. Really, because I know you've been working at this for a very long time. Like I was reading your Spotify bio earlier, and I saw that you were talking about how you started like writing music. What was it, at 14, 15?
Yeah.
And that's not something that you were like very open about back then. And I get you on that, because I wasn't really open with a lot of the writing that I was doing too. It was just like people knew I wrote, but I never did stuff like put it online like that or anything. And I think that now that you've become so much more confident in your ability, it really shows in the music. And I can't wait to hear the following 11 tracks.
Thank you. I definitely feel like when I made Slowly Forward, that was actually one of the first songs I made, like towards the process of like me making this project. That song was like true, like just like expression of like how I felt at the moment. Like the person who produced that song is actually someone who like produced a lot of the album. It was basically like me and him getting into like an argument, and it was like on some like regardless of this, like we're still family. Like regardless of like butting heads, like we're still moving in the same direction, like whether there's a hump in the road or anything. So like that verse, when I was like, how's it go? Like I don't have a homie, like all I have is family, basically. Like I like really like that was really like how I was feeling at the time. Like it was just like, because it was just like on some like little petty, like this argument like shouldn't be what it is, kind of think of like the bigger picture. Like that song, that whole song to me is just like bigger picture. It's just like in the long run, it's like all this little shit that we let get in the way is gonna just like heed our growth and like just get in the way.
Yeah.
And then 100%. Having like Paragon Don and David Lewis on the song, those are actually two artists that like I got connected with that are from North Carolina that are like in a similar vein. They're doing their own thing. They have like big things going on like down there.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were like the perfect people to put on this song because I feel like they have like that community feel down there in their city that kind of like represents what I was talking about in the song. So I felt like who better to get on that song than people who I feel like really like represent like the feeling of like moving slowly forward, like no matter what. It's like it doesn't matter when we get there, like we're gonna get there.
100%. Yeah, I like that. That's kind of like now that you speak to the song, we speak about the song like that. It's like it reminds me of that point I was talking about just like affirming things in your life, speaking it into existence, like knowing that no matter what, you're gonna get there. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's another reason that I like the song. Yeah, it's really fucking good.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to hear it to the face. And like, let me ask you, your next project, does it have like a title that you're ready to reveal yet?
When are you putting out this podcast?
Well, I mean, I was planning on doing it because I know To the Face comes out, correct me if I'm wrong, 25th, right?
Yeah.
I would have liked to put it out, 25th is what, on Friday?
Mm-hmm.
I would have probably put it out Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Okay.
If you don't want to reveal it yet, like, you don't have to. I'm not trying to pressure you. It was just like a question. Feel free to tell me now.
It's actually like a good like topic point.
Okay.
Like I love explaining like the album title to people.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah. Me and my producer, like the one I got in that argument with, who produced most of my albums, we actually like tripped shrooms. Like I want to say like 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, like when I was upstate, and I had like this whole like ego death experience where I was just like crying for like 4 hours, just like all my trauma was just like I had like just like this newfound like appreciation for just like the idea of being alive.
Wow. That's
powerful. So like the thing that stuck with me the most is kind of just like I was always searching for something that was like already there. So like the album title is It's Always Been There. Nice. And I feel like that's just like the way I made all these songs, and like I had no direction for them for like the longest time. I was going back and forth with titles forever. For like me to get to that point, have that experience, that come to my head, and basically all 12 songs are kind of in that realm, and like they make sense under that umbrella. It was just like it all felt like it's just like everything kind of like happens for a reason, and like things were just like lining up perfectly. So it's called It's Always Been There.
All right. Wow, that's really cool. Thank you. I know, I get that, the excitement and just joy in explaining a title, because I feel like there's always a story behind the title and people don't always ask about it. And like for my story, I don't know yet. The title it's just about the attitude of the main character and him not being sure about where he is in his life. But I mean, that's also relative to my own, because there's times where I feel like, even though my path may be or may feel, or rather I feel my path is clear cut, it doesn't always feel like that, you know, in the moment. But it's always been there. That's beautiful. I really like that title.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I love it. Okay, so let me ask you this. Is that also the name of a song as well, or no? It's just...
No, it's just the title. Like I've had all songs like basically 75% finished. I did like a lot of structure for the songs. They weren't necessarily finished, but like they were written. I might have had drafts. When I got here, I started like getting studio time, like really like working on the mixes and stuff. But like when the title came, it just kind of like just made sense. It's just like It's Always Been There. I've been always trying to like look for something that's always just been inside of me, but I just like was never realized it.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, man, mushrooms are a crazy fucking thing. Been there. That shit is wild.
Weird. First time too.
Wow, and on your first time. My first time, I was laughing a lot. I didn't have that like real ego death experience up until the second time. That shit was insane, and I have not done shrooms since.
Word.
Oh man, but that's really cool, and I'm really glad that. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Because like now knowing that that's the title, knowing the story behind it and why it means what it does, I'm gonna go in with, I feel like, a new lens, as opposed to just like listening to a project straight through and then shuffling it. and then just like judging the songs. Now it's more so going to be like, it's going to feel more like an experience, if you will.
Word. I always want my projects to feel like that. I get a lot of inspiration from like, I think Donald Glover was saying like during like the Because the Internet era, like when he wants like his projects to be more than just like a listening experience. He wants it to be like a whole thing. So like I'm definitely trying to like wear different hats and like figure out how I can like really branch out as opposed to just like doing songs, dropping some videos, getting them in some playlists, and then just working on something new. Like I honestly think this is like the last project like you guys will hear from me like in a long time. Oh, wow. Not because I like dropping music, but just because like I feel like this music is gonna be something that like I want to really live with for a long time, and like I want to like go and like do shows and like just really grow for like with this music, because I feel like I just have like a very strong body of work that just like really represents like the type of person I'm coming into at the moment.
Nice. I like that. I really appreciate how confident you're coming off with all of this, really, because I don't think there's anything better than an artist who, because I feel like a lot of artists can go ahead and be like, yeah, my song is this, my song is hot, and this, that, and the third, but I feel like it takes something else for you to really be so confident in your work and to have that emanate off of you and not present it in a way that makes you come off cocky either, you know? So like, kudos, for real.
Thank you. It just, I've made hundreds of songs, and I can say this is like the first time I started making songs that like I felt like weren't bad. Like getting into like recording a song and like dealing with an engineer who's like not like trying to see your vision the way you see it. Sometimes you get stuck with a song the way it is, and I kind of just have to put it out like that. And I can say that happened on Phoenix. I definitely had a lot of strong ideas, even with Neo Soul and like everything like beyond that point. Like I feel like I've always had strong ideas and like the structure has always been there, but like being able to like really like make and craft these songs myself, I feel like I was really able to like flesh them out. So I don't know. I think I'm pretty confident in the music because I think this is just, it's music that I would want to listen to. Like it's like truly music that like I listen to every day. I always listened to my music in the past, but it always just like oh, but this sounds this way, or oh, I wish I would have said it this way. I don't think there's anything from like a performance standpoint on this album that I would do over. I think all songs are like the way they were in my head, and I think they got fleshed out that way too.
Nice. That's really good because I know exactly how it feels to have this immaculate vision in your head, and then like when you either put pen to paper or you have a finished product in front of you, whatever that may be, it doesn't feel like how it did in your head, you know? But that's fucking awesome because you were able to create it as you saw fit and as you wanted it, and you had your vision embodied. And especially because you have the ability now to engineer, to mix, to do everything that you couldn't before, that's got to feel so much better. And I can only imagine just how gratifying it must be to be doing all of that, to control your vision, and then on top of that, just when you see the finished product, or when you hear the finished product, that's gonna be quite the fucking feeling.
Word.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. Okay, I've asked all of my questions. We've been on for like almost 2 hours. Wow, it didn't even feel like that.
Yeah, it went by really quick.
Yeah, it went by really quick. I'm so glad that we were finally able to do this after years of trying to do so. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your conversation. And before we go, tell people where they can find you. Promo anything and everything you want to, even if it's just like the deli on your block.
Well, thank you for bringing me. It definitely has been years in the making that we can finally do this. If you want to check out my music, you can just pretty much search Jason Flame wherever you listen to your music. I am Jason Flame, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty easy to find on most things. Just, you can probably Google me, it'll come up.
All right, no doubt. Jason, thank you again. And when It's Always Been There comes out, we got to link back up and then we'll have a conversation about the album, because I love doing that. I love talking with an artist about about everything, honestly, especially about a cohesive piece of work, like being able to have like a deep dive on it, like what Tyler did with Flower Boy when he sat down with Jerome Carmichael and he just spoke about the album and had a conversation about it. I would love to do that with you.
Of course, bro. We definitely have to do something in person next time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no. Like the Zoom stuff, I do it because it's convenient, but I cannot wait when I have like a proper setup and everything like that. Like have the camera back working again, figure out the lighting in this place or how to have things set up without the cats making a fucking mess or anything like that, not being a nuisance to my girlfriend. we're gonna chop it up for real. So much better.
Of course, bro.
Right. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Had a single family household happen by my dolly. It's been like this for a minute and the clock is ticking slowly. Don't ever question my intentions. Do this with my heart, there ain't no reason for this tension.